Anime scene has been crowded with trash anime to the point where there are only a select handful of actually fascinating anime. The reason behind the downfall of all these anime are three major factors. Coming to number one will be the dreadful copy and paste meta, in which anime doesn't just take inspiration, but straight up copies the entire plot of another, and then sheds everything that actually makes the anime good. To the point where, like, dude, going off script completely, they're the exact same people, literally. Watch this, I'll give you a great example. My Isekai Life, I gained the second blah 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 blah, is a great example of this. It follows down the path of a random nobody who was reborn into a fantasy world, where they just so happen to be the best of everyone, literally everybody. This is what we call a copy and paste of the power fantasy. And there is nothing necessarily wrong for power fantasy, but you see when the main character just so happens to have everything they could ever wanted, there's no relatability, there's no difference compared to any other anime in its niche. The characters have no build up, no character traits, no problems, hell, sometimes no face. You see, once you write out the summary of one of these anime, it takes only a few different words to match any other anime in this category. Like, watch this. Using the same My Isekai Life anime or whatever, the main character, whose name I do not even remember, is reincarnated into a world of fantasy and magic, just like everybody else. He gets a fast forward button into the overpowered lifestyle. He gets the ability to be better and more powerful than everybody with no workup, no build up, no training, nothing. Literally. However, despite being the strongest, he likes being in the backseat, hiding from any and everyone, basically, while doing the crazy feats in the background, like it's actually cool. You know, after that, yeah, he gets beat up by a super cool demon and he learns his lesson that life is crazy. No, none of that. Literally, that's it. That's all he does, the entire anime. And that's the same for countless other isekai anime, to the point where there's no reason to do any of this stuff or watch any of it for the most part. It gets to the point where there's literally no reason to even, like, why would I watch an anime that's the exact same as the previous anime I just watched, literally. Now, there are some times where you can get inspiration from a different anime, and that's okay, that's fine, but like when you literally do the exact same thing, what is the point of watching it? And going off of my previous statement of My Isekai Life, using the summary or the facts or the plot for the most part is the exact same thing as any other anime, we can use My Isekai Life as the literal exact foundation as the strongest mage with the weakest crest. It took me a while to even think about that because the fact that they're all the same, the names do not matter. Now, what you're looking at right now is the exact same fact I used with My Isekai Life, and it's literally just being put onto the strongest mage with the weakest crest. And the reason I did that is the fact that the main character reincarnates himself into a magical world, literally the exact same thing. He's the strongest of literally everybody, quite literally, and he fights big monsters and all this stuff, but he likes to be behind the scenes. I quote behind the scenes. You can't see me, but I'm hand quoting right now. And it's crazy because the literal only difference is one, I think there are age differences for the most part, and the strongest mage, he was literally like alive beforehand and he killed himself, let alone just didn't, like, you know, Truckcoon didn't take him away. That's the only difference I can think of. Oh, and the fact that the strongest mage had friends, that's it. Now the question arises, why does this even matter? You see, for an actual anime viewer, which you probably already know if you are one, when you watch anime, or one that's actually a good anime, like examples would be like Naruto, Bleach, Fullmetal Alchemist, Re:Zero, stuff like that that connect to you, you really feel like you were literally learning and watching the journey of those main characters grow, develop, learn, etc, etc, etc. You feel like you enjoy the journey. And then you leave that journey and you come to something like My Isekai Life first. And at first it's like, okay, if you don't like an anime, you don't like a show, you just don't watch it. But then when you see a random number, 100 anime posted in a month or so, whatever the case may be, and 95 of them fucking suck, like, what is the point? And I do just want to clarify that obviously it's not all anime. There are plenty of decent anime out there, or even masterpieces like Spy X Family, Attack on Titans, whatever. But this year specifically, there's been a few handfuls, but out of the actual number of anime that's come out, it's not that many if you really think about it on a bigger scale. The second major reason why anime just fell is you as a viewer when you don't like and subscribe to this video so I can continue ranting about anime that you like, don't like, whatever the case may be. But in all seriousness, the next major reason why anime fall is bad writing. Honestly, like, we know that most anime can go bad when they have bad writing, but what exactly is bad writing? And see, me personally, when I think of bad writing in anime, I think of the anime starting off amazing. You got us hooked, we're waiting for the new episodes, new seasons, whatever the case may be, and then they go south. or north, wherever direction you're trying to go. A great example of bad writing would be Tokyo Ghoul, and I'm not even going to give you clips for this because you probably already know about Tokyo Ghoul, but I'm going to explain the entire story with pictures alone of the main character. The main character went through a big change. He was a wimp, got basically killed for the most part, and reborn in a way. Not necessarily isekai or anything like that, but reborn. He was badass, fighting people. He was cool as hell. They did it correctly, and then he went backwards. The story is supposed to go forwards, development, not development, and then I don't know the opposite of development off the top of my head right now, but what was the... Another good example of bad writing would be one of my actual like favorite animes, I can honestly say, but it's not a good one for real, it's Classroom of the Elite. Great anime. I love the story if you're not actually trying to understand it for the most part and you're just watching. And the reason I say that is because once you actually break down an anime that was bad writing, there's no explanation to anything they do at all. There's like, why does that person know that? Why does that person know that? Why are they smart? Why are they strong? Etc, etc, etc. You're just like, okay, the author just decided to go with what the bumble hell ever. Now we can talk about bad writing with Class of Elite, Tokyo Ghoul, 200 billion other anime out there that were good and ended horrible because the author just got lazy out of nowhere. But in reality, we can go straight into the next major reason why anime fell, and that is bad manga adaptations. Now, me personally, I'm not a manga reader, but I do hear about manga being like the straight up the thoughts of the main characters, the behind scenes, the stuff that we don't know about as anime watchers. And Class of Elite, using that the same example, it was great in the manga, or at least decent in the manga, and then the anime was just all over the place. Like the main character, Ayano Koji, he was a smart genius, similar to like Light and Death Note, for example. But like the difference between them was, in the anime, Ayano Koji was just smart. He knew things for the audience just because to make it seem more like a genius. In the manga, we hear more of his thoughts and we can see what he says and why he does the things he does and how he notices this. But in the anime, he's just behind the scenes, control you, manipulate, boom, I'm a mastermind. That's no real reason to make him the way that he is. It's missing the actual greatness. Now, I won't really go in depth with manga adaptations because I'm not an expert at that, and I'll just be honest with you. I do just know that some anime that I have watched, they just fell when it comes to animation, the story, leaving things out, completely just changing the anime altogether. They just don't do it correctly. It just ruins a lot of good anime. Some do it well, like Mappa, they're amazing studio. They have things like Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, all that stuff or whatever. They're just amazing. But then the majority, they just somewhere along the way go downhill. Great example would be Seven Deadly Sins. It was not the best or nothing decent. I loved it. It was actually one of my actual favorite anime, and then the animation went downhill faster than most YouTubers' career. Now, if you got this far into my video, of course there are a lot of things I left out. I didn't go in depth about all this stuff, but obviously I can do that in another video for the most part. I just wanted to get that off my chest, to be honest with you guys. And if you did enjoy this video, honestly, just let me know. You don't even have to subscribe or like, but I would definitely want to know or whatever, so